Hello guys, welcome to another wonderful episode of Prep Class Study Acts. My name is Tutor Olaliko Israel and I am super excited for you to join me today. Now on today's episode, we will be providing you with some do's and don'ts for you to ace English multiple choice questions in exams. I know you're excited because the multiple choice questions is a section where you can actually get maximum points from. So, without wasting much time, let's get down to it. Okay, before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, turn on the post notification so you can be notified whenever we upload any new app. Alright, let's begin. Now, what are multiple choice questions? MCQ. Now, multiple choice question is a question composed of two parts. The first part is a stem that identifies the question or problem. Something like, which of these is not a type of a noun? That is a stem. The second part is a set of alternatives or possible answers, that is the options. A set of alternatives or possible answers that contain a key that is the best answer to the question and a number of distractors that are plausible but incorrect answers to the question. Now, amongst the options, just one of them is the best answer to the question. Other options might seem plausible, but they are incorrect. So, that is the two parts that make up the MCQ. Alright, let's move on. In order to pass English multiple choice questions, I will be sharing with you some important notes. Number one, just like for every exam, when answering English MCQs, always be time conscious. Always be time conscious. Don't spend too much time trying to answer one question. Don't spend too much time trying to answer one question. On the average, most English MCQs are set to make learners spend between 30 to 45 seconds on each question, depending on the duration of the paper and the total number of questions. So, be very time conscious. Don't spend too much time trying to answer one question. You have other questions to attend to. Second point is read instructions carefully. Now, instructions are the pointers to what each question requires you to do. If you miss the instruction, if you do not read the instruction, you will miss the question and then you will miss the answer, because if you don't know what the instruction is, you don't know what the question requires you to do. So you need to read instructions carefully. This is very important. Right. Moving on to the next point. The next point is be conscious of section changes. Be conscious of section changes. Now, in English MCQ tests, there are always different sections and each section comes with its instruction. In English MCQ tests, there are always different sections and each section comes with its instruction. So, if you're not conscious of section changes, you won't know when the instruction for a particular set of questions changes. Therefore, you will continue to answer the new set of questions using the instruction for the previous section. Doing this will lead to failing the entire section. So, you have to be very conscious of section changes. You can't be answering questions selecting the nearest in meaning in a previous section and you continue to select nearest in meaning in another section that requires that you select the opposite in meaning. You are going to fail that entire section. So, be very conscious of section changes. Alright, the next point is always answer simple questions first. Why should you always answer simple questions first? Now, this will help you to save time. There are some questions you see that you will know their answers easily. So, answer these kinds of questions first, as you will spend lesser time answering them. So, if you spend lesser time answering these easier questions first, you will have extra time for the difficult questions that will come up later in the questions. So, always answer simple questions first so as to save time for the more difficult questions. Alright, moving on to the next point. The next point is immediately skip difficult or unfamiliar questions. Immediately skip difficult or unfamiliar questions. Instead of spending time on a difficult or an unfamiliar question, skip it. Move to the next question. Don't spend time on a question you don't know. You will have enough time to look at them carefully after you've gathered maximum points by answering the simple questions first. instead of jeopardizing the marks for the simple questions and the difficult questions by spending time on some set of questions. If you spend time on the difficult questions, you are not sure you'd actually get them. So answer the simple questions first. So instead of you wasting time on some difficult or some unfamiliar questions, just skip them. So you go and gather the maximum points from the simple questions you know. Answer those ones, get the maximum points. Then you come back to the unfamiliar and difficult questions. You would have enough time to look at them. But if you spend time on the difficult and on the unfamiliar questions, you might not even get those questions. And you will not have enough time to go back to the simple questions that you might have actually gotten easily. So immediately skip difficult or unfamiliar questions. Alright, moving on to the next point. Read the entire question before selecting an answer. Read the entire question before selecting an answer. Now, impatience has cost many students valuable marks. Some students arrive at the conclusion of what a question requires by just reading a part of the sentence, not knowing that sometimes examiners bring unexpected twists at the end of questions. For example, you are reading a question like this. All of the following are examples of a noun, except dash. Now, if you do not read the entire question, you will not see the except there. So you won't be able to answer the question correctly. So read the entire question first before selecting an answer. Because examiners bring unexpected twists at the end of questions. This is because they know that a lot of students are impatient and can't wait to get done with the test or exam. So it is very important to read the entire question to be sure of the problem of the question. In as much as you want to save time for difficult questions, always ensure to read the entire question so you can get what the question requires you to do. Alright, moving on to the next point. After reading the question, before viewing the options, answer the question in your mind. That is, after you have read the question, don't look at the options immediately, just answer the question in your mind. Now, when you view the options and you see the answer you chose, or its synonym, then you know you are right. So the options should mostly be for confirmation of answers. After you've answered the question in your mind, you can now look at the options. Okay, this is what I chose. Then you can confirm. And if you chose the wrong answer, you can actually still look through the options to pick the right answer. So, but first, always choose the answer in your mind. Because if you know it, you will not need the options to select the right answer. So you just need the options for confirmation of answers. Okay, the next point, employ the elimination process. After reading a question, eliminate the eccentric options, that is the strange options. Options that you know that is not the answer to the question. Eliminate them. By doing this, you've streamlined the options to just possible answers. So making the choice will be easier with fewer options to choose from. So employ the elimination process. Remove the eccentric options. Options that you are sure that they are not the answer. Remove them, eliminate them. So you would have fewer options to choose from. Okay, moving on to the next point. Read every option. This is very important. Read every option. The reason you need to read every option is because for MCQs, for multiple choice questions, there might be more than one answer to a question. Yes, there might be more than one answer to a question, and you might be required to select the best option. So, when you just read a couple of options and select an answer to the question, you might have selected the wrong answer because although it is correct, but it is not the best. So, it is always important to read every option to select the best option. An option might actually be correct, but another option might actually be the best to fill that sentence. So always read every option. For example, from the words lettered A to D, choose the word that best completes each of the following sentences. The word that best completes each of the following sentences. Now this is the question. Don't tell me you are dash enough to believe his lies. A, credible. B, childish. C, modest. D, naive. Now, using the elimination method, options A and C are eccentric. They are not possible answers to this question. So the answer is between options B and D. childish and naive. Now, when you use childish to complete the sentence, it still makes sense. Don't tell me you're childish enough to believe his lies. But childish is not the best option. The best option is naive. Don't tell me you are naive enough to believe his lies. So, looking at just a couple of options, and when you see childish, you can actually select childish, not knowing that you have a better option in naive. So, always read every option if you are required to select the best option. Because another option might actually be a good answer for that question, but it is not the best. And you are required to select the best. So always read every option. Alright, moving on to the next point. Make a guess. Yes, make a guess. For questions that you don't know their answers at all, there are some questions you know that you don't know the answers. It is advisable to make an educated guess. If you got it wrong, no points lost because you don't know the answer. But if you get it right, it is an extra point for you. So for questions that you don't know their answers at all, you are advised to make an educated guess. The only time you don't make guesses for MCQs is when you get to lose points for every wrong answer. So if they say for every wrong answer you select, you are going to lose points, don't make guesses. So in this case, you just answer questions you know and you are sure of. But for questions that you don't know their answers at all, you are advised to make educated guesses in situations where you don't lose points for any wrong answer. Okay, moving on to the next point, all of the above and none of the above questions. Now, for MCQs that have all of the above or none of the above in their options, for all of the above, you should select all of the above when all options are first stated are right. That is, if all of the options stated above are right, you should select all of the above. But if one of the options is wrong, then all of the above would not be the right answer to the question. Now, for none of the above, when one of the options aforementioned is right, then none of the above would be a wrong answer. That is, if you have one of the options stated above as a correct answer, then none of the above would be a wrong answer. But when none of the options aforementioned is right, then none of the above would be correct. Although all of the above and none of the above are not advisable standard options for MCQs. Finally, if you still have enough time after you've answered all the MCQs, go over the questions once again. You might have mistakenly selected the wrong answer. Here, you get to correct such errors. So, it is always advisable for you to go over the questions once again. And with that, we've come to the end of today's prep class study acts. Take time to learn these acts, learn the tips that I've been giving in this video, and I can bet that you will always ace all your MCQ tests and exams. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on the post notification so you can be notified whenever we drop any new content. Do not forget to join us on WhatsApp. Check for the link to our WhatsApp group in the description of this video. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.